Okay, shit, my roommate actually hasn't left the house the entire day, and I have like 5 minutes to get this done, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, Bitcoin, what is it? Basically, Bitcoin is a decentralized currency that is basically built around blockchain technology, and as a result of not being able to trust all of the parties that are going to be running kind of the Bitcoin blockchain on their local computers, we have to make a bunch of adjustments to, a typical ordered log algorithm that we might see in something like distributed consensus, like Raft or Paxos, in order to kind of make this all work out. So let's go ahead and quickly talk about some of the features that Bitcoin sports, how blockchain works, and basically how that is going to allow us to kind of make payments in an environment where not everyone trusts one another. Okay, so what are coins? Coins are basically just a chain of transaction records, and they don't all have to necessarily be stored next to one another in the actual blockchain itself, but they do have to basically create this chain of records that shows who basically holds a coin at a given time. So imagine I have some coin, and this is going to be indicated by the fact that, as you can see in this first transaction record here, my public key is at the top of it. I have the hash of the previous block that basically gave me that coin, and then I have the previous owner's signature, which is basically using the private key to go ahead and encode the hash of the previous block. So then imagine I do a typical purchase that, I might end up doing, and I give that coin to an OnlyFans girl. Basically, what I'm now going to do is there's going to be a second transaction record that I personally am going to create. And what's going to happen is now there's this hash of the previous block where the previous block is referencing when I actually got the coin. And I am going to create a signature where I use my private key, and I've discussed private and public keys in the previous video of this channel. I use my private key to go ahead and encrypt basically the hash of the previous block. And that way, if anyone wants to go ahead and verify that this payment is valid, they can go ahead and use my public key from basically the referenced previous block to go ahead and decrypt the signature of this transaction, and assuming it all comes out okay, it should show the hash of the previous block, and then it was actually me who went ahead and created this transaction record, because I'm the only one who should have my private key. Okay, so basically, even though, coins go ahead and create this record of where, a coin has been held throughout its kind of entire existence, it doesn't actually block double spending. For example, there's nothing stopping me from creating two transaction records that spend that coin twice. So basically, this is kind of where the blockchain comes in. We have to basically go ahead and create an ordering of events that everyone can see, so we know that once I've spent that coin once, I no longer have the coin, and then anytime I try to create another transaction that spends it again, it can be rejected because we know it's not actually a valid transaction. So like I mentioned, this basically corresponds to this blockchain, where a blockchain is a set of blocks, or more so like a linked list of blocks, which acts as a record of all of the transactions for every single coin. And each block contains basically the following. Again, a hash of the previous block in the chain, some transactions that are actually going to be kind of in the block, and once that block gets put in the blockchain, those transactions are considered valid. And then also this third thing called a nonce, which I'll explain in a little bit more, but it's kind of used to prove the validity of the block and show that this block is actually valid to go in the blockchain. So every single node in the network, which can also be called a peer, keeps this local copy of a blockchain, and every single time it goes and tries to add a block, it needs to go ahead and broadcast the block to every single other node in the blockchain, which can go ahead and verify the validity of it and then add it locally to their own copies. Since every single transaction is going to be shown in the blockchain, like I mentioned before, no one can actually double spend. Okay, so in order to actually go ahead and add a block, you have to do the following. A peer is going to receive a bunch of transactions and throw them into this block. Eventually, the peer is going to have to take the entire block and say, I want to add this to the blockchain. So before it can actually do that, it has to calculate the nonce. And the nonce is calculated by doing some intensive CPU calculations, which in Bitcoin is known as proof of work. So what is this CPU intensive calculation? Basically, we have to find some value x, such that the hash of the list of transactions, which can basically be given a hash via a Merkle tree, which I've mentioned in the past, so use the root of the Merkle tree. The previous block hash and x starts with n leading zeros. And so basically the only way to actually find this value x is to go ahead and brute force this. And so in addition to actually kind of adjust the difficulty of how much brute forcing needs to be done, the blockchain can actually adjust that parameter n to make it more difficult to actually go ahead and mine a block. And this way, they're able to kind of keep the transaction rate of new blocks being added to the blockchain relatively constant. So I believe in Bitcoin, it's about 1 block every 10 minutes can be mined. Okay, and then additionally, once that nonce is found, the block can be broadcast to other peers, and it's really easy to verify that block because, well, basically you really just have to check that the hash of the list of transactions, the previous block hash, and that nonce go ahead and start with n leading zeros. So like I mentioned, that's kind of one step of validation, but there are others too. So like I said, the first step is just going ahead and making sure that the hash starts with a bunch of leading zeros. The other thing is that the previous block hash actually points to an existing block in the chain, and hopefully to a block in the chain that's actually at the end of the chain. And then more importantly, that the actual transactions in the block are valid. And this is kind of what makes blockchain work, is that you go through every single transaction. You say, well, does the owner that's spending this coin actually still own the coin according to the blocks currently in the ledger? And if they do, then it's valid. Otherwise, you're going to go ahead and reject that block because it has some invalid transactions in there. Okay. And then additionally, peers basically will just go ahead and accept a block to their blockchain by basically adding it to their local copy of a blockchain and start trying to mine new blocks with this previously accepted block being used as the previous hash of any new block that they might mine. So that way this kind of gets integrated. However, even though based on what I've said so far it works for creating this kind of linked list of blocks, it's still possible for there to be forks in the blockchain. There are 2 main scenarios where this can happen. The first one is that 2 nodes in the network, which are called peers, may find the nonce of their own local block that they're creating at the same exact time, and so nodes are going to process them in different orders. If we have 2 blocks A and B that are recently created, some nodes may think A comes before B, other nodes may think B comes before A, and as a result we're going to have this fork. Another possibility is that one malicious peer, because they're trying to double spend, is going to send a block to a subset of nodes and then a different block to another subset of nodes, and once it's processed by kind of both sets of nodes, now you can basically doubly spend a coin, which is going to be very bad. But there's a way for Bitcoin to actually go ahead and make sure that at least eventually it's going to be the case that you can only spend coins one time. So the way they do that is they resolve conflicts by keeping the longest possible chain. So basically, peers are going to have these forks, and this is possible, which is totally fine. However, it's going to basically keep working on the fork that it received first, and the second that it sees another branch of the fork has actually gotten longer than the branch that it's been working on, it's going to go ahead and abandon the branch that it's currently working on and start creating new blocks that are linked to the end of that longer branch. And this way, every single peer in the network is eventually just going to make sure that they're working on only the longer branch, and as a result of that, they're all going to eventually be consistent. During this time, double spending is technically possible. However, the way that most Bitcoin clients actually work are that they wait for a few blocks to actually go ahead and be added to the end of a given block so that they know that it's very likely that this transaction is actually valid, because most kind of invalid blocks that create a fork are going to be ditched after a couple of iterations. Okay, in conclusion, Bitcoin's a really awesome technology, as is blockchain, and it's becoming very commonplace in our society. However, it obviously has its issues, mainly surrounding both speed, which I touched upon, and also proof of work, which is super wasteful of CPU resources. So as a result, a bunch of alternative implementations have basically popped up, and they're starting to gain some ground as well. So I'm not really going to cover those on this channel because it's not a blockchain channel, but that being said, it is something to further research, and it's actually really cool to see how, other blockchains have gone about avoiding this proof of work mechanism and used more clever solutions to not waste CPU resources and be a lot faster.